Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, July 17th. Sorry this one took a little bit to get out here for y'all. Getting videos out with the newborn has been a bit of a challenge, but I believe I'm up to the challenge. So, talking about Evan Engram and his contract extension, very exciting for the Jacksonville Jaguars and fans of the Jaguars. Evan Engram is locked up by the Jags for the next 3 years. Awesome stuff. So we're going to dive into that today. If you enjoy the content here on Duval Daily, please hit that like and subscribe button. You can comment in the comment section below. You can also hit the notification bell so you don't miss a show. If you want to support the channel further, you can check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. We've got a lot of fun stuff up on the site right now. Again, that's genjag.com/shop. So, getting into this Evan Engram contract, the Jaguars had less than 48 hours to get a deal done with Evan Engram, a multi-year deal done. They had placed the franchise tag on him earlier this year, had not signed the franchise tag yet, but there had always been talk of the Jaguars and Evan Engram trying to come together, trying to get to a point where they could work out a multi-year deal. They were able to do so at the last minute here, the Sunday before the deadline. The deadline is 4 p.m. on today, Monday, July 17th. So great news for the Jaguars that they have Evan Engram services now for the next 3 years. Really awesome for Evan Engram that he is now going to earn an average of $13.75 million per year over the next 3 years for a total of $41.25 million over the course of that contract. First off, I just want to say good for Evan Engram. This is a guy that has received a lot of hate, has a lot of haters up there in New York. Former first-round pick, didn't quite work out for him in New York City with the Giants, but came down to Jacksonville, prove-it deal in 2022, and he proved it in a very big way for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I just want to say, congratulations to Evan getting that multi-year deal, getting a little bit of that financial stability that all these NFL players are looking for. In the tight end position, it's not the easiest to go get your bag. He's now one of the highest paid tight ends in the league at just under $14 million per year. He's right in that range with some of the top guys. So also just want to say, good on the Jaguars. Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, they are now retaining key talent. That's something that this team struggled to do, this organization struggled to do in the years leading up to Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson, kind of taking over as GM and head coach. They are now retaining key talent. This is just another example of it. So, Doug Peterson, his workplace culture that he's established over the last year plus now, and Trent Baalke, his business savvy, his understanding of who needs to be retained and who can, potentially, you can allow to walk. I think he's done a really good job keeping the guys that need to be here. When you look at some of the contracts the Jaguars have handed out this offseason, and of course the contracts he handed out to free agents last year, most of those worked out in a very big way for Trent Baalke. So good on him for keeping key talent around. And you've seen this exact situation where the Jaguars have placed a franchise tag on a key player and it has blown up in their face. The Jaguars were able to handle their business this time. So is Evan Engram. He's back in Jacksonville and he's fired up to be here. He's been tweeting out some good stuff, Right after the deal was announced, he said, "I'm home." And then today he was tweeting out a little meme of how excited he was heading in to sign the contract with the Jaguars. So for me, the Jaguars, they will have one of the best passing offenses in the league for years to come. You saw it over the back half of 2022. Trevor Lawrence went scorched earth. He had 15-2 touchdown interception ratio, was completing 70% of his passes, was really efficient within the offense, but also able to make big plays within and outside of structure. I think with Calvin Ridley being added to the mix, with Evan Engram being retained now for the next 3 years, obviously, Christian Kirk, an unbelievable slot player. You've got a lot of other ancillary weapons to throw the football to. Zay Jones. You've got Brenton Strange coming in who can be a sneaky target. You've got Parker Washington if Christian Kirk or anybody goes down. I think you've just got a plethora of talented receivers, and you've got good backs out of the backfield as well. So I think really exciting for this Jaguars passing offense with Trevor Lawrence, with Doug Peterson running the show, and now you've got the security of Evan Engram being there for at least the next couple years. And I think this year in 2023, with Calvin Ridley, with Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, Zay Jones, as we mentioned, this could legitimately be the best passing offense in the league in 2023. I think top 3 is probably pretty safe. Top 5, I think, would be very safe to presume for this offense, especially if you're able to stay healthy for the most part. And Engram is a big part of that. Incredibly difficult to deal with in this Doug Peterson offense. Doug uses him in so many different ways as a receiver that a lot of tight ends just simply don't have the skill set to do on the bubble screens, on the pitches, on the toss plays. And then using him as a target down the field as a receiving threat. He's got size, he's got athleticism, he's got ball skills, and he's a guy that brings an incredible amount of toughness and work ethic to the football field, especially on the practice field as well. You saw him one of the hardest working guys in the building last year. Bottom line, from OTAs to mini camp that got canceled, but OTAs to training camp, this guy was getting in extra work consistently, and it paid off for him in a big way, especially down the stretch when Trevor Lawrence, and the rest of this offense kind of caught fire. So really good on Evan Engram, and he's just a guy that is a mismatch nightmare for defensive coordinators. Unbelievable talent. Like, you've got more balanced tight ends out there, sure. Evan Engram did show the ability to hang in there and block a little bit last year for the Jaguars, at least the willingness to do so. But from a receiving standpoint, from a route running standpoint, a speed and athleticism, there's not very many tight ends who have ever walked the earth that can do what Evan Engram can do for you in that regard. And with Doug Peterson, who is a tight end whisperer, a guy that really knows how to use those mismatches to great effect, calling the shots. It's been great for Evan Engram in Jacksonville. I think it will continue to be. He is going to turn 29 this year, still very much in his prime. I think he kind of entered his prime in 2022, should have several very good years left of production at the very least for the Jaguars. And I know a lot of people want to talk about, well, why did you draft Brenton Strange in the second round if you have Evan Engram in the fold? Signing Evan Engram to a multi-year deal in no way, in my opinion, should impact how folks look at that Brenton Strange draft pick, right? You can criticize the pick of Brenton Strange in regards to the evaluation, the talent. Not a lot of folks thought Brenton Strange should be a second-round tight end. I personally had him in the third round. But I did say this is one of the guys that has the ability to really vault himself up because of the versatility that he has within his game as both a receiver, a blocker, a guy who can line up all over the place. So for me, it's two different roles within this offense. Brenton Strange is going to fulfill a role where he can be the Y tight end, he can be an H-back, he can be lined up as a fullback, and he can be used as a really solid space blocker, a lead blocker in certain situations, and an inline blocker as well, and then a sneaky threat as a receiver, whereas Evan Engram, he is a primary receiving target at the tight end position who's going to line up in the slot a lot. He'll line up in line as well. But I don't think that there's too much overlap within those two roles in the offense. So if you want to criticize the player that they selected to fulfill that role, fine, whatever. But don't let the fact that the Jaguars are keeping Evan Engram around for multiple years make you think that the Brenton Strange pick no longer matters or it's no longer a good pick. It was a good pick or it wasn't a good pick in April, right? For me, I like the pick overall. I did have him as a third-round grade. I'm not going to lie about that. But the versatility that he adds to this offense, the multiplicity that he adds to this offense, the ability for the Jaguars to pivot on offense in 2023 is going to be critical for them, especially down the stretch. If they're able to win the division, get into the playoffs, and have these big games late in December, January, maybe even into February, you never know. Being able to pivot on offense is going to be critical for them. And I think Brenton Strange, along with Evan Engram, gives them a lot of versatility. They can do a lot of different things with that tight end room. And I think some of the other moves that they made as well, adding Calvin Ridley obviously gives them a lot more versatility, a lot more downfield ability. I think this is an offense that is going to have a lot of different ways to beat you, ways that they did not have to beat you in 2022, ways to pivot when you're able to stop some. If you're able to slow down Calvin Ridley down the field, they're going to have the ability now with Brenton Strange and Evan Engram and even bringing in Tank Bigsby, who has a little bit more power, Andy Ernest Johnson, to complement Travis Etienne. They just got so many different ways to beat you. I think that they're going to be a really good offense. A more complete offense, an offense that can handle a lot more different situations in 2023 than they were in 2022. Now, According to Demetrius Harvey, the cap hit is down to $5 million in 2023 for Evan Engram. It was going to be $11.345 million under the franchise tag, so the Jags saving over $6 million against the 2023 cap. Now they have just under $22 million in cap space, which gives them a lot of flexibility if they want to go sign a player or two that can help fortify the defensive side of the ball, maybe fortify the offensive line, whatever it may be. You want to look at pass rush. You've got Justin Houston. Carlos Dunlap is still out there. You've still got Melvin Ingram and several other veteran edge rushers that I think could come in and make an impact. I think you could still use some help at the nickel spot. Yes, there are some folks, some younger guys that could come in and potentially compete at that spot on the roster that you've drafted over the last couple years. You've got Trey Herndon currently in the nickel. I think you could use some help there. I think you could use help, if Lord forbid, right? If Tyson Campbell or Darius Williams went down, how do you feel about your cornerback room? If Josh Allen or Trayvon Walker went down, how do you feel about that edge rush room? I think you could improve there for sure. And now the Jaguars have even more flexibility and cap space to go pursue someone potentially maybe before the season, maybe as training camp gets underway, maybe even you just wait and see how it goes over the first few weeks of the year. And then before the trade deadline with this cap space, maybe you could make a big move, push some chips in and bring in a true impact player to help your defense or your offense, whatever you may need after you're able to evaluate where your team's at for a few weeks into the regular season. So for me, looking at this, there's probably going to be a team out after the 2024 season. That's just kind of the way the Jaguars like to write contracts. So this is probably in effect a 2-year deal where they can get out of it after 2024 if they want to. And, if Evan Engram is playing the way he played last year down the stretch, they're not going to want to get out of this contract. They're going to want to keep Evan Engram around for as long as they possibly can. And I think that's a beautiful thing for Evan. He's in a great position with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, and I think the Jaguars with him as a move tight end are in a great position as well. But the Jaguars, they will not have to worry about signing Ingram now following the 2023 season, which they would have had to worry about if he played under the franchise tag this year. They would have had to wait till 2024 to try to lock him up on a multi-year deal. Now they've got that locked in. Should they want his services through 2025, they've got them. And I think that should be really exciting for Jacksonville Jaguars fans. That's going to do it, though. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. You can also hit the notification bell so you don't miss a show. Comment in the comment section below and check out jenjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.